had a whole box in 3 days with zero indigestion, zero any kind of gut symptoms at all. And I also noticed I had zero brain fog associated with it.
Hello, everyone. I am here with the amazing and awesome Dr. Scott and Dr. Hannah from our clinic. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, it's really good. We had a nice weekend with everyone in Austin taking photos for our new clinic website. So keep an eye open for that, guys. But I'm passionate about the Evolution meal replacement bar. As you know, I really made it for me. I wanted to be able to have a bar that wouldn't upset my stomach. And we've made that, and I'm so excited about it. Essentially, if we took the elemental shakes and put it into a bar, that's the Evolution bar. And there's two things I think come up when trying a product like this. Will it upset my gut? And because we use pre-digested ingredients for the most part, will it spike my blood sugar? And with you guys here this weekend, it was a testimonial to each one of those. Scott, your gut is way healthier than it was, but you still have some foods that trigger you. I'll let you tell your story in a second. I don't want to steal your thunder. And then Hannah, you're very attentive to your blood sugar, and you had some feedback that was good regarding your blood sugar. So I just wanted to quickly capture this because it made me feel so good about the fact that these bars really hit the formula mark. So maybe we start off with you, Scott.
Yeah. So it was an awesome weekend. The photos are great. I'm excited for everybody to see those. But yeah, so I got in Austin on Friday, and Michael had these nice gift for me, had these box of bars, the Evolution bars. Whenever I do consume a bar, like a meal replacement bar or a snack bar, almost within, getting halfway through the bar, I do start to typically get some kind of indigestion, a little bit of bloating, a little bit of gas, and it just didn't sit right. And so he told me about his experience of consuming many bars in a very short period of time. And so I was very excited to give it a try. And I had one, waited about 10 minutes. I experienced no symptoms at all. It's like as if I had an elemental heel shake, to be honest. It just had no bloating, no upset stomach, no indigestion whatsoever. So I figured, all right, let me have another one. I'm pretty hungry. I just flew in. I haven't eaten much today, just a couple pretzels. So I had another one, waited about, I don't know, maybe another 10 minutes, another 20 minutes, and still zero indigestion at all. So that day I had 4 bars. The next day, I had another 4 bars on Saturday. And then
Saturday was
on
the
Sunday,
photo shoot. So we were really busy during the photo shoot. It was hard to eat. But yeah, I kept seeing the wrappers just pile up.
yeah, your garbage was getting a little full.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had 8 bars in 2 days. And then on Sunday when I left for my flight, I was like, all right, I'm not going to get any food at the airport. I really don't want to eat any airplane food. So I had a bar right when I got to the airport with my coffee. And then I had 2 more bars in the plane. Still no bloating, no issues at all. And then I had one on the way home from the airport. So I had a whole box in 3 days with zero indigestion, zero any kind of gut symptoms at all. And I also noticed I had zero brain fog associated with it. So even though they're not high carb, but there's about, I'm drawing a blank on how many carbs, and we'll pull up the label in a moment. But yeah, zero brain fog. I just felt really good. I felt full. Even though I kept having them, I was still very satiated. And there's a good amount of protein in there. So it was overall such a good experience, and it was great for traveling. Kept me full, and I didn't crave anything else at the airport. So overall, super gut friendly, cognitively
you really tested it.
Yeah, I don't want to go.
I've done that. I think so when we got the final sample back, and say, okay, here it is. You either approve it or we go back to the drawing board to tweak. I love the way it tasted. And I said, well, I really got to run this experiment. I've noticed with other bars, if I do more than one, if I do 2, I'll feel it. If I do 3, I'll clearly feel it. So I said, well, let me just really run this experiment. And let me do, I think it was 6, whatever they sent me. I believe it was a sampler of 6. I ate all of them in one day and nothing. And so you're, piling on with that. So it was just so reassuring to see someone who's a little bit maybe earlier on their healing gut-wise road.
Mhm.
Still has some sensitivities. It wasn't an issue for you. So, I mean, that was just a huge bullseye. And we'll put the formula up here on the screen, but what you see is blanched almond butter. So the blanching is kind of pre-digesting in a way, in my opinion, makes it easier to digest. And that's mainly to hold the bar together. Then we have a protein blend with some whey protein, just like in traditional elemental heel. And then instead of maltodextrin as a carb source, we have glucose syrup and maple syrup. And you may recognize maple syrup from the Master's Cleanse, which is one of the modified fasting options we use in the clinic and I wrote about in Healthy Gut, Healthy You. Now, this is where some people may say, well, won't that spike your blood sugar? Now, if you just drank glucose syrup or maple syrup alone, probably. But with the protein and along with the MCT oil, that's going to prevent that blood sugar spike. And this is where, Hannah, you come in with your experience. So let's pivot over to, because, you know, as a type 1 diabetic and someone who monitors their blood sugar closely, you really are quite attentive to your blood glucose.
Yeah. And so the big thing for me with bars is understanding how quickly I will digest and absorb those, because that allows me to make decisions based on my insulin timing. So when I tried these bars, I was wearing a continuous glucose monitor for kind of both of my trials. And it was nice to be able to watch the graph in real time to see what happened. And traditionally, my hang up with bars, especially bars with whey protein, is I find that they do cause quite a big spike. And a lot of that kind of pre-digested protein with things like glucose or different syrups in it can just be digested quite quickly. And you can see that kind of big spike up on the graph. But what happened with these was actually quite different. And I wasn't expecting it, honestly. So it was a nice, exciting kind of surprise, was that it was a much slower kind of natural spike that I was able to use to kind of continue to balance things out. And I really think that's because of the combination of the healthy fats that you included, is that it slows down that digestion time. Typically, I don't do great with whey. And generally, that's just been harder for blood glucose management. But with these, again, that wasn't a problem. And I like the combination of the maple syrup and the glucose syrup, because the maple syrup has a lower glycemic index. And so it really did not only kind of have me on this nice glucose slope that was predictable and manageable, but they kept me full for a while. And I think that's a big thing too, Michael, is a lot of bars that are on the market that are kind of a healthier origin just don't have that many calories. And so you eat them and then, you know, it's like an hour later, you're starving again and you need to kind of go again. And so what I loved about these was it was great for managing my blood glucose and it kept me full for a while. So I didn't have to try to find something else to eat and then go through the whole process again.
I mean, it's such a great point about the maple syrup being lower glycemic index. And I'm going to toggle back and forth between our bar. So 310 calories, because these are meant to be a pseudo meal replacement. You could also do it as a midday snack. That's kind of like late morning. I'll do it as a snack, or maybe something post-workout, or really whenever. Especially if you're using Elemental Heal and you're wanting something that's going to be a different mouthfeel. This could be like, oh, I can actually chew on something and give you that sort of change up. But I'll overlay our bar, 310 calories. A good bar from a good company on the market, 130 calories. But look at this. The first ingredient, or the second ingredient, allulose, then erythritol. This is why, candidly, one of the other doctors back when I was in California and we were in the same office, he called many of the healthy bars diarrhea bars, right? Because, and it's no wonder, right? I mean, look at all the prebiotic sweetener in there. So you're not getting calories from it. So that's going to impact satiation, and that's going to be a strong prebiotic effect. So if you are someone who doesn't do well, high fiber, high prebiotic, it's going to upset your stomach. So yeah, I just wanted to share this with our audience again, because new product. And I want to make sure you guys know that a ton of thought and care went into making this. And it was really kind of selfish in the sense that I wanted a bar that would taste good and I could eat more than one of, especially given being busy. And sometimes I'll do meat bars. And Scott, this is where I think you and I might be a little bit more similar. If I have, let's say, two, I think Epic makes these, like ground bison and cranberry, they're good, but I can only have one. If I have two, I think it might be the histamine with all the meat, that's cured and sitting there. I'll notice I feel a little tired, a little foggy. Have you ever tried that experiment, or Hannah, with the meat bars? Anything that you've noticed there?
Yeah, I've tried some of those meat bars, and I actually get a little more indigestion from those, and then yeah, cognitively, I do get a little bit of a crash from those kinds of bars. But yeah, definitely.
But probably good blood sugar wise, Hannah. Have you
Yeah,
experimented?
they're good blood sugar wise. I find that they are pretty sturdy and kind of stable in the way that I digest them. I've never had more than one at a time, but I find that they typically leave me hungry still. They're not quite as filling as yours were. So
Oh, great. Great. Well, that's mainly the things I wanted to get across. But do you guys have anything else you want to offer before we wrap this up?
I do. Well, obviously, I had one bar this morning, and I ended up sharing a little bit with my daughter, who's 14 months, and she really liked it. I selfishly ate most of it, but I did give her some, and she did really well with it, and she enjoyed it.
Awesome.
that's huge. Kid approved.
Yep, and kid approved.
Awesome.
I mean, they are sweet enough. I think to your earlier comment about blood sugar and the glucose in the maple syrup, I also think it blends nicely for a flavor profile. I think if it was all glucose, it would be too sweet. And while maple syrup is sweet, it has a different, it's got more of, if this even is, it makes sense, but it's got more taste character. I feel like glucose is just sweet. It's almost too much. Maple syrup has a little bit more depth in terms of the tones of flavor that you get. So anyway, I'm obviously really biased, but I love the taste of these bars. I think they're just top notch.
Yeah. Yep. Taste is really good. Clearly.
Cool. So if you guys are looking for something to complement or replace Elemental Heal in terms of here or there, or something that's more mobile, meaning that you're going to be running around and you don't want to bring a shaker bottle or whatever, please do give the Evolution bars a trial. And Scott and Hannah, thank you guys so much for sharing your stories.